What's up? Welcome to a new episode of Movie Schmovie. This is episode number 468. My name is Steve, one of the co-hosts of the show, and as always, I'm joined by
Ron.
And woof, 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 woof.
Best quote you've ever done. There it is. It's the best one.
And John.
And John. Good to see you guys.
Yes, good to see you fellers as well.
Ronald was mentioning it was nice to see each other on a Wednesday, or he feels that it's that. We usually fluctuate between 2 days, but the rare Wednesday has come into play this week. So
Yeah.
recording a little earlier than normal, but that's
And
fun.
I'm not whooped. Normally
yeah.
I'm like whooped.
Yeah, I can tell you're awake.
You've only been lightly beaten today, it seems.
Yeah, that's what it is. You know what it is? I drink so much caffeine in preparation for this.
That'll do it.
You know what sucks? When I do that and then we agree on the day and then it's like, I don't think we can do that day. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I've drank an astronomical amount of caffeine. And I'm like, I'm going to play this video game till 1 a.m. Yeah, so.
No, I know that feeling. I find that when I have had what I think for most people is like a proper night's sleep,
Yeah.
I feel like weirdly electrified. Like all day long, I'm like, what is this? What is this awareness and like comfort and like productivity I'm feeling? But today I've had one of those days where like I've been so busy for so long, but today I finally got where I had time to catch up on some things. So I've still been very busy, but it's like I feel that weird relaxation you feel when you kind of feel like, well, I now have time to do the things or to deal with the things that are stressing me out. So it's like the stress is there, but when the time is there, it makes you feel a little relaxed. So does whatever I put into this drink. I don't know. But yes, we are here. This episode is our Halloween episode. So not only is this a fun episode for us, we've always tried to do something. It's been a while since we've done like a theme or a list episode for Halloween, but we used to do those pretty regularly. So if folks want to, if you're a new listener and you never listened to those classic list shows, go back through for at least a few years there. I think around Halloween we had like a fun horror themed list. But today it did work out nicely that we have a horror film, or at least a spooky film to talk about. And I don't know if you guys saw anything. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about Welcome to Derry as well, correct? So
That's right.
So yeah, that's Good Boy and Welcome to Derry. Those are two seasonally appropriate, holiday appropriate topics.
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed. Yeah, that sounds good. Ronald, you want to, I guess we'll go right into required viewing. You want to remind us of your choice? John just teased it, said it, but tell us a little bit about Good Boy and why you chose it.
So I chose Good Boy, a horror film, a thriller, a horror film. I'm going to say horror film.
Yeah, I mean, let's not do this thing where we debate whether every horror film needs to be classified as a horror film.
Yeah.
We kind of know what the broader genre is. I was just talking about this with my students today.
All right.
I think it's a horror film.
Yeah.
I think it's a horror movie.
I think it ticks the boxes.
Yeah. There's enough screaming in it.
And figures and things that are
dark figures and right.
And one person just acting their asses off, and that's indie. But yeah, this is a movie directed by Ben Leonberg.
That's not a person, by the way, Ronald. I know maybe you thought that was a man in a suit, but that was a real dog.
That was a look, based on that skill, I'd say a person, man. Some of those reactions were like better than I would have reacted to being cornered.
Is he? Yeah, I agree. He seems he's more expressive than any of the three of us.
Yeah,
he's great, man.
This goes a little beyond
incredible.
like, they say that sometimes when it comes to like emotions of animals, we put our stuff on people. Mm-hmm. Nah, man, this dog is like legitimately acting. Like there's some expressions that are like, I kind of want to make wallpaper.
Well, I think we're only beginning to understand the emotional intelligence of animals, you know?
For sure.
And if you are around dogs or cats, but particularly dogs, because they live to relate to you and please you so much. You really do see their emotions. And if you know a dog well, there's no question that they get embarrassed, they get get petty, they get bitter, they are like happy when you're getting along again. I mean, there's very much the spectrum, you know. So I do think people still project on animals, but I think in this case, I think this movie definitely plays off of that feeling that a lot of us have anyway, where an animal is just, we're going to instantly relate to them and their plight. You know, you see this dog on screen and you just instantly plug into him much quicker than you would an amateur performance from a human actor that you'd never seen before.
Yeah. a lot of what the hell? A lot of those faces.
Right.
What the hell's going on over here? So it's it's kind of hard to. How would you describe it? I was trying to figure out how to describe this without giving anything away.
Well, I think it's in the pitch, so I don't think it's hard to say. It's like a ghost story or a haunted house horror story, but instead of following a human protagonist with a dog who's like on the margins of the story, we're following a dog. So we're seeing it all through the point of view of the dog, not from point of view, but we're like the camera angles, the sound design, it all suggests like this is what the dog is seeing and hearing.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's like in some ways it's like a familiar sort of ghost story, but I do think that's the experiment is just, can you follow a dog through a story like this? Ronald, it was on your radar, obviously, that you picked it. But I mean, this is one of those cases where this is like a recent movie that we might have talked about anyway, because we would all probably have checked this one out. But like, how long ago did you hear about this one? And were you kind of interested from the word go, like I was, when you just heard, oh, someone's doing that? I'd often thought, could you do that? Could you focus on the dog in the horror movie? Because there frequently is a horror movie. There frequently is a dog somewhere in a horror movie.
I'd heard about it quite some time ago because it's not... I don't know the particulars about this, but I heard about this from a foreign blog. Because there's some thing about where it was filmed and how it was funded and something like that. Like that's not quite from America. So I'd heard about that portion of it. I'd seen a trailer that was in another language. I'd seen a bunch of stuff that was kind of like that. So I'd heard about it through different channels that weren't American at first. And then I found out that it was being distributed here and it was under a different name. It was a strange thing, but yeah, I as I started to hear more about it. In fact, when the leak came out, it was there was a whole bunch of language stuff with that. Like that's the whole thing. So I think this is an American director, but the funding or something about this is weird. Maybe the distributor or something is foreign. But yeah, there was some strangeness about the trailer because the first trailer I saw was not in English. So that's how I know about it. I was interested. I mean, the perspective is cool. I mean, this is also from a person who hasn't yet to see the other one from the perspective of the killer. Goodness, what's the name of that movie? The one that follows him in the woods.
In a Violent Nature?
In a Violent Nature, yeah. So In a Violent Nature came out not too long ago. I was very interested in that. I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, Good Boy, I was very interested in sound design too. I'd heard a lot about sound design, so yeah.
Yeah, this one like registered earlier this year. I remember there was a lot of talk about it. It was at South by Southwest and the Overlook Film Festival in March and April. And I remember like a lot of people talking about this movie just simply because of the trailer and the poster.
Yeah.
And and
the hook.
Yeah, like the main idea of what the movie was. And I think just the buzz around that and like the good reviews that it got at those festivals, I think is what kind of pushed it into, getting a bigger, because it was like a pretty decent theatrical release that it got for a smaller company like IFC who distributed it. And then Shudder, got additional distribution rights. But yeah, I don't know. It's a really cool. It's a really great idea. It's a really cool thing to see how how the system or the process works for a movie like this, which, carries a budget of $750,000, gets screened at these festivals, gets good reviews, gets picked up by an indie, gets acquired for distribution by another service like Shudder, and kind of like expand its scope just based off of the idea and the reactions to the trailers and the posters, all that stuff, like the dog of it all. And, kind of sets the movie up for success in a lot of ways before anybody even had a chance to see it. And that's just not like normal buzz, oh, that's an awesome trailer. A lot of those movies have something going for it before, it gets to that point because of, what studio is putting it out or who's in it. But this is a movie that, first time filmmaker, debut performance by indie and, like a really small budget movie. So it's cool to see how like, the idea and the marketing material for it actually manifested some version of success for this film before it even, came out. And, the movie's done really well for a budget that it's had. And I think a lot of people are, going to be able to see it more widely on Shudder. And, it'll probably be a very successful thing there. But I mean, I just feel like in general, it's cool when you see, I don't know. It's just cool when you see that kind of thing happening for a movie that is a cool idea, that actually came to fruition. And I was reading like it's one of trying to find the gross here. Like I think it's IFC's second highest opening weekend for their releases, which is that's awesome.
That's really good.
I think it's only behind like maybe two other. I think it's behind what is it? Clown in a Cornfield and Late Night with the Devil. I think for the larger IFC entertainment group because they have that RLJ Entertainment underneath of it, which did Clown in a Cornfield, which was bigger than both of these. But I don't know. That's all just talking about stuff that had nothing to do with the actual movie. I thought the movie was really good. Like I thought it was really enjoyable to watch. I thought it had enough of the things that I like in kind of supernatural horror thriller movies like this. And I think there's enough of the human stuff happening in the background and in the scenes to kind of keep the story moving. That the idea of the dog's perspective is not. I didn't feel like it got tired or got worn out. And I mean the movie's only 70 some minutes long, also, which helps. Helps that pacing to kind of keep the dog's perspective from going stale. There's definitely some parts in the movie, like the script and some parts where you're just getting like some exposition and just like weird info dumps in the background when they're talking about stuff. Specifically when he like goes to the grandfather's house and he's like talking and saying all these things about, it's videos and he taped over them and they were horror movies. There's just like weird dialogue choices that I thought were a little interesting. And again, that's like the human stuff. But
I think that I would also say that the acting in those sections is not like the dog is a great animal actor
for sure.
The people are okay. In the context of a low budget horror film, you might expect some sort of whatever. I mean, again, amateur acting is not bad acting, but it does kind of clunk it up a little bit compared to. I mean, if you're watching the video, you can see this expressive little dog face in my background image. Like this is pretty much a whole movie of that dog. I mean, that dog got a face card. He got dealt a face card, and he plays
lucky guy.
He plays it in this film. But no, I would say that like I think you kind of hit on what I think the questions about this movie would be for someone. One is like, does it work? Like there's like, what did you think of it? All that stuff. But like, does it work? Like, does the experiment work? And I think fundamentally, yes, I think it's a more successful than not experiment. Can you follow a dog for a movie like this? But I think it's interesting that what you're saying that I agree with, which is that all the stuff with the dog pretty much works. It's the other stuff that doesn't work as well. And then I would say beyond that, there's a couple of moments where the film, which is actually very striking looking, I think it's a really nicely photographed movie. Yeah. The parts where the photography kind of falls apart, when they go for like a greater scare, or they maybe overextend what they can actually get the dog to do in terms of like a scare moment. Those parts I almost wish they had managed to just, I mean, maybe make it even more slow burny or whatever, not have those climactic moments where it doesn't really look like the dog is in any danger. Like there's a scene where the dog's supposed to look like he's caught in a trap, and he kind of looks like he's having his belly rubbed.
Yes.
And I don't want to see the dog suffer. So I'm not saying they should have more realistically depicted a dog suffering. I'm saying it's a problem for the movie to deal with, that I don't think they deal with that stuff nearly as successfully as they do the stuff you're talking about, which I think I agree with you. If I understand what you're saying, like the best part of the horror movie is the bump in the night part, the part where the person's going, what was that, and trying to figure it out. And the movie, that's the hook of the movie, right, Ronald? That like we've all had that thought, what is that animal looking at, what is that, what do they see that I don't see? The movie plays with that beautifully. And so the scenes that really work are the scenes where it's like a dark room with a dark corner, and we see something in the darkness for a minute, and we see that the dog sees it, but the guy doesn't know it's there. And the flip of that is it makes me think about all those times I've gone to like a rental house, and I don't think anything about my dogs kind of going around to like investigate the property, right? But like this movie makes you think, oh, not only am I now thinking, what did they see that I don't, but I don't like them running around alone in this house without me. You know, it's like that poor dog is just checking things out. But there's moments where it's like, oh, it kind of sucks that we don't protect our dogs from dark basements or dark houses or whatever, that we kind of let them be the ones to poke around. So I don't know. All of that, I think the movie does a very effective job of leveraging all that stuff around a dog and the imagery. And there's some great moments where this dog stares at a wall, and the music and everything just really worked on me. The overall storyline and kind of what you're saying, Steve, the way it's delivered in the exposition dumps, that stuff was like a little clumsier than how well shot it was and how well visualized it was. So I feel like it was a little bit of a tug of war. But my fundamental comment would be, did they manage to do it? Does it work? I do think it works. I think it's an entertaining enough movie to watch.
Sure.
Ronald, you haven't said much about, you've talked about how much we love this dog and how much we love the look and feel of this. How did the movie itself work for you?
I think enough. I think what you were saying is a solid statement. Enough of it works for it to be a good movie, but I think what I want to say about that is enough of it works for this to work, but that also means that a very hard thing to accomplish was done in this. Is like humanizing a dog it's fairly easy. Humanizing a dog for the length of a movie,
right?
In a situation that's really, I didn't even think about the perspective thing at all. Like in 15 minutes into the movie, where I was like, I'm just following a character. Less than like, oh, this is a perspective that's being taken as a. Some people might think it's a gimmick. You know what I mean? Like it might be like, first person shooter movie or something like that. Damn it, hold on. Sorry, headphones. Some people may look at it like a gimmick movie, like, and I think it's a little more than that, because it does a lot of tricks, sure, to do that, but I mean, this is just a small movie that used the resources that it had to do what it did, and this feels like a calling card for a director. Like it feels like,
oh, totally.
This is going to be taken somewhere else to make the $30 million movie next time. Like this is proof of concept that this director is capable. And I kind of like that it feels kind of like bootstrapping the way that the acting was done. And maybe because like, I think what's happening is, I have to say it like this. I like to shit on Netflix. It's like the Netflix. So there's a big gap in Netflix stuff. There's like stuff with Idris Elba in it, and then there's everything else. It's like there's like stuff with the big stars in it, and everything else. There's like that's okay, but it's relaxed. Our like ability to. I'm not so critical on acting. I'll say, But then when I watch something that's like really well acted, that's in their top tier, I'm like, oh, that other stuff is not quite as good as the stuff with like Idris Elba in it. It's like
Right.
It's so weird that sometimes it makes that true and sometimes it's not. You know, sometimes you can
sometimes
see,
you get
sometimes you can
exceptions.
see that like, oh, this is so much production value, it's almost making me think it's good. And then other
for
times
sure.
it really is a case where we're talking about a movie like this, where you would say, oh, this movie would actually be kind of perfect if it didn't have a couple of these little understandable flaws. And it's like, that's not to ding it for not being perfect. That's more, I think you're taking a very positive approach, which I align with, which is like, to pull this off to the degree that they do, and I think it's a first-time director, right? I mean,
It is, yeah.
and it's kind of like I said, an experiment. I'm trying to think of the last horror film that had this kind of outside the norm feeling, and yet reached enough of like a mainstream conversation. And it's not like this at all. But it's another example of an experiment that's going to work for some people and not for others. And that's Skinamarink. That was the other movie that I thought of that was like, oh, a concept. A movie that feels like an art film and a concept and feels like something that you might question. The first question you might ask is this a movie? Does this work as a movie? And I think in both cases, they would work better as like a half-hour thing or something like... this would have been like an amazing episode of an anthology show or something like that. And because it's got more than enough juice for that. I'm really not saying it feels like it's stretched out that badly, but I do think the sort of familiarity of just this kind of ghost story, I think that it would have been an amazing thing to see in that way. But yeah, I mean, 70 minutes, if there's not much time, it's like once you sink into the atmosphere of this, and you do get hypnotized by that very good boy. Indy is a very good boy, and he's doing good boy things. And this idea of playing on a dog's loyalty to his owner as like the driving force of his narrative is like really poignant and sweet.
For sure.
And it allows you to have what could be, tragic turns that you sort of have there's almost like a nobility. We already think this about our pets, that there's a weird nobility to them. We talk about how they're the kings and the queens of our houses and stuff like that. I mean, people go wild for pets. So it's like this idea that a movie's going to kind of play off of the idea that like this guy is not having such a great time and he's very lucky to have this good dog. Sometimes that is your best pal. There should be a saying about how dogs can be like one of the best pals that you have. There should be some kind of like quick way of saying that. Like these guys are good buddies to have. I don't know. Someone workshop that for me.
Yeah. It should be like a dog's a good son of a bitch.
Yeah, dog. Like hey, looking for a good son of a bitch? Check out a dog.
Check out a
something
dog,
like that. There's got to be a shorter way to say it, though.
Yeah.
We're just not good at the brevity thing, Ronald.
Yeah.
It'll come to you.
Yeah. Just like a good dog.
Yeah. It just feels like one of those ones, man. Like I can't like it's not perfect, but because it fills a niche that hasn't really been filled before, we're gonna hear about it for the rest of our lives. You get what I'm saying? Like it's not that good. It's because what else has done this?
Right. If anybody else does it, they're going to mention this too. You know what I mean? They're going to say, right. Yeah.
It's like what if I were to write a movie that's about like somebody's eyeball or something like that.
Okay.
And nobody's made something specific about an eyeball that
except for Alien Earth.
Except for Alien Earth. But you know what I mean? Like it is it's especially the way that people think about like who did it first, and this, somebody's gonna do this again, and somebody's like, you know what? Screw that movie. Go see the better version, the original that came out in 2025. It's called Good Boy. There's only one original that follows the perspective of a dog in a horror film. That's gonna happen. I'm just saying we're witnessing a movie that's in that sort of. And I'm not saying because it's the greatest movie. I'm just saying, it really does. This is one of those movies in our lifetime that we're seeing that fills a niche that it has never been.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what it is.
And it's a hook. I mean, it's definitely something you can say, oh, from a horror film from the point of view of a dog, I have story idea I've been writing for a long time that has like a chapter that's from the point of view of a dog, and it's sort of similar in the sense that I have my dog behaving like a normal dog, but doing something important. And I had questioned, like, oh, will people buy this? Will people buy that, like, a chapter from the point of view of a dog? Right. And then I saw that this movie was coming out, and I was like, oh, okay, well, my idea won't seem so fresh anymore, but this movie's proving that, yes, people will buy, or at least some people will buy the idea that you can follow a dog, and it's not like a silly thing to do, you know? Right. I think you're kind of getting at that, Ronald. This doesn't feel like a silly version of a horror movie because it's from the point of view of a dog. It plays all that stuff super straight, and the fact that you do worry about the dog, even though I think the director had made a point when the movie came out of telling audiences like that, you know, if you're afraid of watching something bad happen to the dog, you know, that's not the point of this movie, because it's like, you know, he knows a lot of people that would like this movie would not come see a movie if they thought that something bad was going to happen to the dog. So there is a little bit of an assurance that, like, the dog is the hero of this, you know, but you watch the movie and you don't know what that means. Like, you know, a lot of times the hero of a horror movie doesn't make it to the end. So you're watching to see how little Indy fares.
Can I ask you a question? That was a part that was kind of confusing, maybe because again, this may be like the first time director. I just want to ask a question. There were two dogs, right?
You mean the main dog is played by one dog?
Indy, yeah.
Yeah, Indy is one dog.
Okay.
And that, you know, they shot for 400 days. That's how they got the performance they got. They just shot a lot of stuff.
They just shot a lot of stuff. Holy shit.
Are you talking about what's it?
The red bandana dog.
The bandit one. Bandit?
Yes,
yeah, Bandit.
Okay.
That's a different dog.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just was I was like, based on the ending, I was like, oh my God, I hope I'm not seeing what I'm thinking.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No. It wasn't like that. It wasn't that twisty. That would have been an interesting twist. I
don't know if I would have been able to handle that. If I'm being honest with you guys, I would have been like, oh no, I can't.
No, you're right. It has a kind of melancholy, sad ending. But that would have been like a heartbreaking twist. But but no, yeah. So there's two dog characters.
Yes. There's two dog characters. Because there's a point where I was like, oh no.
But I love that there's like a dog mystery, that it's not just a dog encountering a mystery, but like part of the mystery involves a dog. You know what I mean? That was a cool aspect. And I do think Larry Fessenden, who is a guy who kind of like he's kind of like a patron saint of this kind of movie, for him to pop up as the grandfather was a cool little
that was pretty cool
touch.
Yeah. There was a point where the dog was like figuring stuff out. I swore that dog was about to be like, "Great Scott!" I don't know. It's like very much like a discovery that I don't know if I would have had myself. Like he's like maneuvering through spaces and looking at things, and it's shot really well.
Yeah, and they do. You're right. They do a good job of the dog like looking at stuff and looking back and looking around. And so many times I was like, man, knowing they shot for 400 days, I'd read that before seeing the movie. So I would watch certain moments and go, oh, I bet this took them like a week to get the dog to like sit and stare at something and then react to the right thing or whatever, you know. But like, you know, it was, I think the director and the cinematographer or his co-writer, the wife worked on it, right? The guy's
She's
wife
a producer.
Produced it. Anyway, there was some point where it was just the like 2 or 3 people living in the house where they were shooting it with the dog, you know. Wow. So they just spent a lot of time getting it set up the way they wanted. And it does help that the setting of the house is like, oh, here's a big old house, but there's like work lights up in it because it's being worked on and stuff. And I'm sure that helps with your shots if you want to have cool lighting in your shots. If you can have like, oh, they've just got work lights set up in this house, or, you know, the kind of ambiance of the house kind of lent itself to the ambiance of the movie. So I've thought about that. Like if you lived in a really cool house, wouldn't the temptation be just to figure out what movie you could shoot in that house, you know, and that way you have access to it forever.
Cool. Well, say good boy. Good boy.
Good boy.
Yeah. I think we enjoyed it.
He's a good boy.
Who's a good movie?
Yeah, say good boy is. So I'm next, and I'm gonna pick a movie that I literally have started to watch almost 2 or 3 times, and I just like get distracted. Not that I've even started it; it's like there, ready to watch, and I just didn't yet. This is like a action comedy. I've been picking a few of these recently,
Yeah.
and I've heard a lot of people say good things about it, maybe surprising things about it, and maybe directions that the movie goes. But it's called Code 3.
Hmm.
Has any of you heard of it?
I mean, I've exactly heard of it.
Okay. This is an action comedy starring
Oh, I've seen this poster.
Rainn
Yeah.
Wilson, Lil Rel Howery, Rob Riggle, Amy
Okay.
Carrero, Nicole Brown.
Okay.
A couple other people I saw in the trailer. The dude from Cobra Kai. How do you pronounce his name?
Is it
Zolo?
Zolo?
Mariduena, I think is his name.
That sounds like a winner.
Yeah, he was Blue Beetle, that guy.
Yes, Blue Beetle.
But yeah, I don't know. Just a lot of people just saying that this movie is like way better than they thought it was going to be.
Okay.
It's funny, but it's also kind of sad, dramatic at times. Like a really interesting job at balancing a couple different tones. It's logline is follows a paramedic that is so burnt out by the job that he's forcing himself to resign. However, he first must embark on one last 24-hour shift to train his replacement. But this is available on I know it's Amazon Prime, like you can rent it. I think it's like $4 or $5, or this probably on all the other platforms as well. I keep seeing it there. But yeah, this is called Code 3. It's available for digital rental on the VOD platforms. And yeah, we'll talk about it next episode.
Cool.
Yeah, just the description makes me think of Bringing Out the Dead meets After Hours or something like that, where it's just a nonstop, one scene after another.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Um,
We shall literally see.
What's next? Let's talk a little Welcome to Derry, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to Derry.
Yeah.
Season 1.
You bet your ass.
That's the scariest show if you're lactose intolerant.
Yes.
So if we can talk about the first 2, right? By the time this comes out,
Yes.
it'll be 2 episodes, right?
We
Okay.
can.
Yes, this episode comes out when the next episode drops, because they're doing an early drop.
Yeah, they're dropping
cool.
episode 2 on Halloween, so we should be in the clear.
We should be heroes. Also,
That too.
We
So
could
John,
be
you
heroes.
teased it a little bit last week that you had watched the first episode. I'd seen some of it, but not enough to have an opinion. And yeah, that's changed.
Boy, things have changed.
in the last few days.
Well, I thought it was interesting once it came out and people were talking about it, that people basically, a lot of people said what I said, which is, oh, you think if you hang around to the end of the first episode to see what
Right.
this show was really maybe doing. And the
Yeah.
other thing I think is just the question of, is this going to feel like pretty much just like the movies? And
Yeah.
and it does
Yeah.
feel relatively like the movies. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting just to see the people are reacting to the just how much the show really goes for it with the surprises and there's a lot of CGI. That's a complaint I've seen people have that I do think, and there's not just the CGI, but there's like an overall CGI kind of look. It's like a little bit everything. I think Andy Muschietti's movies maybe have this element of just like everything feels a little polished with airbrushing and some kind of digital effects and stuff. But I
He
feel
loves
like,
babies. That's what I thought about.
well, I think it's just interesting that it gives this show a slightly, and at times, a kind of golden hour, kind of like almost like a nostalgic look. But the show is not a nostalgic feeling show at all. So I wonder how much that's a deliberate thing that he does of like making this look a little bit fairy tale-ish, and then that way when you turn up the creepiness, it really contrasts with the sort of golden age looking stuff. But yeah, you guys have finally seen it, and Ronald, you've now seen any of it. Like I know you had questions about whether this would be up your alley after being kind of disappointed in the second It movie. How do you feel like did this redeem anything for you, or did this entertain you more?
I want to say one thing, and I'll leave it there. Part of this feels like Stranger Things to me, and I can't figure out. Maybe
You
it's
mean the
like
kids on bikes and stuff?
the kids on bikes, the
Wrong
army
era,
thing.
but yeah.
The kids on bikes, the army thing, the big conspiracy, trying to find something in another place,
Sure.
the military digging
Yeah.
around. It's like all that stuff.
Sure.
But it feels like, in a very specific way, this feels like this may have been an idea that existed way before this.
Oh, I was going to say it's funny because Stranger Things feels like Stephen King. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, so
yeah,
this
yeah.
is kind of like
That's the
this
kid.
is, but
yeah.
it does work against it sometimes.
It does.
Right?
It's
like
like-
where it's like the fact that Marvel brought Thanos to movies first, and then DC was trying to do Darkseid. But Darkseid was first in the comics, and Thanos
It's
was
like-
kind of a reaction to that. So I think that there is a kind of funny thing about if you get there first pop culturally.
The dog POV thing,
Yeah.
man. It's whoever gets there first.
Yeah.
It's all that matters.
Right.
And I think that's going to really mess with people, maybe, as particularly if they're not like Stephen King people. Like if you haven't seen it, or you know about the lore and all that stuff, or haven't seen any other, or haven't read the book. You know what I mean? Like it's like,
Yeah.
if you haven't taken any of that stuff in, it's easy for you to be like, this is like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Like holy, like. But my thought was, it kind of feels like this is the source. Like as I'm watching it, this feels like the source of something that it feels like the kid of Stranger Things. No. Stranger Things feels like the kid of this.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like even though it came out because it's based on something bigger.
Yeah.
But overall, man, this thing is scary.
Yeah.
This thing is scary to me.
It's
like,
got some real scares in it.
yes, especially if you're like, I really try to. One of the things that I think that makes home viewing not scary for people is that they typically have too many elements going on. Like TV's going, I'm watching,
Sure.
texting and stuff like that. I turned everything off. I turn the sound up and I let it just mess with my mind. And the way that this show and the movies and the previous TV show / movies has really made children not safe in this world.
Yeah.
It's the scariest thing in the world. Like it really, every movie, we pray for everything to be balanced in a movie. You're like, man, I don't want to see kids get hurt in this thing, but why they always skip over the kids in this?
Yeah.
This show says we don't care about these kids. Fuck these kids.
Yeah.
And
Well, at least for one episode they did.
yeah, at least for one episode.
My question is, once we get to the second episode, are we being introduced to kids that we're meant to be more emotionally invested in? Because in the
Right.
first episode, it's almost like a satire of the sort of kids that you would follow in
Yes.
this kind of thing. But
Yes.
it's not quite. So I wonder if we're going to continue to see turnover in the characters. I kind of
Yeah,
hope we do, even though I don't wish anything bad on any of the kids.
For
but
sure.
But I feel like I don't want them to be like, oh, for one episode, we really were nasty. And then we settled into a more familiar kind of Spielberg-y thing. I hope that they keep that idea going of kind of what you said, Ronald. Like, this is a slasher franchise in a way. I mean, it's not a slasher franchise, but it's a picking people off franchise.
Yeah.
And the main characters are kids. So the kids should be as capable of being picked off as anybody else.
100%. And I think that that's just something that I swear I'm not used to, man. Like it's like I've seen a couple of things where that's happened, but the world building, the way that this stuff's coming across, the way that Derry is starting to feel in the second episode, and for some of the complaints that people were saying about the visual effects, I would submit that 2 of the scenes in the second episode are some of the best special effects I think I've ever seen in something horror related. The supermarket scene, and then the mom scene. I thought those were incredible looking. Like,
Are you talking about the scene with the weird birth kind of scene in the bed and everything? Yeah.
And then the supermarket scene, the lighting on it was so good. Like that's
That guy who kept popping up in the background and kind of leaning in a
Like,
little
yeah.
like he looked like he was like on a spring.
Yeah,
that
and he was
stuff
kind of
crazy.
came out kind of no, that was
Yeah.
incredibly well choreographed.
man.
It was so well filmed, and it kept escalating. It kept getting crazy because, like, you think,
And then
you
where
know,
it goes is fucking insane with the
yeah,
pickle jars.
you think it's just gonna be one thing. You're like, okay, so the pickle jars are what. Then it starts getting crazier and crazier and crazier. Then you think that's it, and then it gets crazier.
Yeah.
It's like it really does a cool job of doing that for everybody. And this feels like, honestly, like Nightmare, like this was like Freddy Krueger stuff. Like if
No,
there were
it
to be
is.
a new Freddy Krueger, this feels like the type of nightmares that would be in there. It's so well done, and you know the familiarity that we have with the character, and it feels like it's filling in these blanks with like parts of it that we just didn't know, or like that Derry's a little bigger than I thought it was. Like it's I don't know, man. Like this is I think I'm on a path to liking this show a lot more. I think you're right. I think I just like it more than the second one. And this kind of is kicking the ass of the first one almost. Like if this continues at this pace and the level of wonderment that kind of comes. I even like the cliche stuff. Like let's do some research at the library. Like I loved for some reason that felt good to me. Like
Yeah.
it felt like it's hitting me on all cylinders. Like I think I'm in for it. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
You know what character I'm worried about is that little social climbing girl who
Oh yeah, dude.
like she's playing she I just feel like she's gonna be ripe for that this the way this being like picks victims. It seems to pick people that are kind of desperate or that are kind of isolated, and I could see that girl being like again, in a regular show, you'd meet that girl and be like, "Oh, she's the plucky, lovable, kind of nerdy girl." But in this, she's like got a mean side to her, and she stabs people in the back, and she'll do anything to be accepted. And you're like, "Oh, you're not going to do well in this world,"
Right.
Yeah.
But maybe she'll redeem herself. But I feel like she's, I feel like, and we haven't seen really Pennywise yet. We've seen manifestations, but we haven't really seen him. But we've seen a couple of moments that are definitely him, right? Like with the eyes that were in the like. There's a moment where we see like a face. I think
The pair of eyes.
inside the maw of that very disturbing.
That kid's smile had the did the kind of sharp smile that was wild. That's
We've
so
had
wild.
two very harrowing kind of birth.
Just everything that we're
Scenes.
talking about makes me so excited that this exists. Like, honestly, like you even bringing up Stranger Things and that's coming out, but like just thinking about like how much I know I personally love it, the book.
Yeah.
I love the miniseries. I love chapter 1 for sure. And I still really like chapter 2 more
I
than
enjoyed
most.
a lot of it too. Yeah.
Just because of really what it is and just so much that worked for it on me. But yeah, this existing is just, I think, amazing. The fact that they went for this, and that there is stuff there in the source material that alludes to this part of the story. It just never kind of fleshes it out.
Right.
So like the fact that they have the ability to, just like connect some dots, but also like color it in their own way, you know. And that Andy Machete and Barbara, his sister producing partner, that they're so heavily involved with it still, like to kind of keep it consistent with the It films, and obviously Bill Skarsgård. But I mean, I just think that all is so exciting, and being able to build out the world of Derry more and these characters that, we're seeing characters in this show, some that we saw briefly, that connect to other Stephen King stuff, that connect to the story that most people know of it, like the characters, like Stan in It Chapter 1, that character of Stan, like unless I'm misreading something, like we're meeting like his uncle.
Right.
Like,
well, his dad, I think, was the
older brother.
Yeah, the guy who says, "I can't believe we're related."
The younger boy that we meet, that we think is our main character, like that would be Stan's uncle.
Yeah.
And like that kind of connective tissue and like the Jewish family and their place in this town and all that stuff. I just think is so.
It just occurred to me that the
It's so
comic
good.
book that the dad gets mad about is a Flash comic.
It's a
which is-
DC
Yeah.
comic.
But it's not just that; it's a Flash comic, and Andy Muschietti directed the Flash. That's just an
Yeah.
interesting
Oh,
thing.
I thought it was a Batman comic. I thought they
was-
said it was a. I thought they said it was a Batman comic.
Pretty sure it was a Flash
it said
comic.
Flash on the front, and he threw it at him. It may have been like one across.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But yeah,
But it just
Or
occurred to me
I
that
know
that's
that there
like a
were like an
Flash
Easter egg
self-reference.
thing I was
Yeah.
listening to that was talking about that there was a Brave and the Bold reference in the episode, which Andy is supposed to be directing. So
Yeah, still supposedly.
Um,
But it's making me think of another DC related thing, which is Penguin. That show feeling like such an on brand extension of the Robert Pattinson Batman film, or more
Right.
accurately, the Matt Reeves Batman film. This feels like it's got that same thing of just like this is Warner Brothers and HBO Max realizing we can generate a prestige show. I mean, Peacemaker
Yep.
is this too,
Yep.
but like less so in the sense of what I'm referring to, which is like just this extension of the thing that worked, and it doesn't feel like it doesn't connect. I guess this is true of Peacemaker too, but I feel like Peacemaker being so kind of fun and comic booky, it does kind of have its own style. Whereas part of the fun of the Penguin and of this show is that if
Yeah.
you do like the style of the Robert Pattinson Batman, the Penguin show is just like it's totally in the pocket of that universe and very similar
Yeah.
to if you like the It films. This feels of a piece with them. And yeah, I love Dick Halloran. I love the way the army is using him and that his shine is like a plot point. I just think that's really
so good.
and I gotta say, I'm a sucker for any time someone has a power or a gift that gets them used and then they milk it a little and then they realize, oh, I've got to do something. I've got to put up or shut up because they're not going to let me milk my whatever gets you your sweet ride. It's like Tim Robbins' character
Right.
in Shawshank Redemption 2, where he's kind of like the darling of the warden as long as he's doing things at the pace and the way the warden wants it to. It's like I'm a sucker for that idea of like it's a little bit of a con man spirit that's like tied in with that character of like, oh, while I've got this access, I'll tell the guy at the front gate, to go fuck himself. I'm Dick Halloran. Like I love that element, but to see that it's a tenuous situation makes him, I don't know, a really interesting character because you realize, oh wait, he's still a black man in 1962, and they're still like all too happy to yank away any privilege or status that he might have. So it's I don't know, it's very interesting. And I was wondering, how did you guys feel the movie? I mean, they definitely feel like in the movie there's a touch of it, but this show is really diving into those kind of racial politics. Some of it worked out exactly the way I expected, but some of it a little bit less so. Like I'm still not quite sure that the general, whatever James Remar's character, I'm still not quite sure if we're supposed to trust him or not. But how do you feel about how they're handling that stuff, Ronald? Because that's the kind of thing that you and I've talked about before. This show could be a little too drenched in like misery porn to be enjoyable, but I feel like they've avoided it thus far.
I gotta be honest, man. Like I don't like things that remind me of racism, like plot me into it. But I mean, I felt it. I kind of went up. It's funny. I was like walking around, and I'm like halfway through episode 2, and I'm like, I hate that they remind me that it was racist. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, would you have liked if they would have ignored it? And I was like, you know what? You got a point.
Right.
You got a point.
Well, because I think you've been mad about that. I mean, it's like we have commented on that before too. When a movie when they just pretend there was no ugliness during a certain era. So it is a weird thing though of like, are we doing that misery porn thing again?
Yeah,
But,
and there's an exception that we need to talk about sometimes. Racism is prevalent, but sometimes beauty will get you right past some of that. And Taylor Page is gorgeous in this show.
Yeah.
And I think that there's like you see somebody gorgeous, there's racism, but they're gonna give you some passes here and there. But yeah, I that scene when she breaks up the fight felt like I was like, is this racism or this is just Derry? This feels like Derry plus racism. I was like, oh, this feels crazy.
I agree with you. It's like there's something going on in Derry that is actually maybe not worse than racism, but there's something that runs deeper and darker, maybe even than that in this story. And so it is interesting that like people are reacting to her not just because she's a black woman, but because she's daring to like upset the status quo of what's happening at all. She's inserting herself into this situation. Yeah, you're right.
And her husband kind of said that she's like known to be a kind of a rebel. And this is gonna get worse for her in this town, at least. It's like it feels pretty bad. And he seems he's the opposite. He's like, play it cool, don't shake too much up. It's gonna be interesting to see how this clashes. Man, I gotta say this, man. All the kid actors in this show are unreal. Like,
yes, they are. Especially the little girl who had the birth scene in the bed that we were talking about. What's that actress's name? She's just got like something about even just the sound of her voice. She's got this like musical tone. She's so like expressive. But I like the little boy who's playing the kind of science nerd too. I thought he was really like he had some lines to deliver that could have been kind of dorky in a way that wouldn't quite be believable, but he says them with a little twinkle, which again, you don't often see younger actors that are able to modulate. Like he's being cute, but we're seeing it as like a kid being cute, not a movie that's acting like we all think this kid is cute. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's legitimately like an appealing, winsome kind of kid, an innocent kind of kid.
Poor Lily, man. Poor Lily. I'm going through this like crazy worry for all these characters. It's like it's about to get hectic in this town, and they talk about beacons and all this stuff. I'm like, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Where we are left with her at the end of episode 2 is like, I wouldn't have expected the story to move that fast in that direction. But it's like, man, I'm knowing how miserable this show can make you feel for the characters and like the nightmare imagery, where she's going and where that's headed. I'm worried about her too.
Yeah. Episode one, we didn't see the intro, right? Because I feel like when I watched it the first time, I don't know if I saw the intro. Episode 2, I'm seeing the.
I feel like you might be right that the second episode has the intro sequence.
The opening credits.
The first one has like the title comes up over the pacifier, drifting into the sewer.
Yeah,
and the second one has the
get the first look at
song.
the creepy song, and the full intro is on episode 2. I like that, man. I'm really enjoying this. HBO doesn't miss for intros anyway, but this one feels especially strange. It's just the perspective is this happiness going into this darkness that gets weirder and weirder as the imagery gets deeper into the intro, and the music is just perfect for it. But
even that scene of Taylor Page, what's her character's name? Charlotte, where she's walking down the street and they play that like music that is like, I can't pull the name of it, but it's like a piece that is like has been used for 60 years to mean like, oh, what a beautiful day. And it's usually used ironically. Like usually you hear that music and then somebody gets shot or run over or something after you've heard it. So it's almost satirical. And then I thought, like, has that piece of music, has it turned over into new, like, I don't know how old Andy Machete is, but it's like, have we gotten to the point where now it's post-ironic usage of this music because of what it makes you think of? Whereas for most of my life, it was already ironic. It was already a very sarcastic music cue to put in. And sometimes I wonder about that. Do you ever think about that? You've aged into seeing like, oh, if I was a 20-year-old person watching this now, this doesn't have the association that it has for me of being like, oh, a thing that's been used a million times. Like whenever somebody uses like a classic rock song that sounds really cool and you go, oh yeah, that's been in 20 movies. But then you go, oh, so if I was a new viewer, I wouldn't know that. Does this director even know? Does this producer even know that they're using something that's been used a million times?
They used something that so they used Frankie Lyman, Why Do Fools Fall in Love? Mm-hmm. Do you know the history of that weird? So Frankie Lyman, black artist, had a band. For a long time, people didn't know Frankie Lyman was black. So Frankie Lyman performed live for the first time on TV, And there's a video that you can watch of people reacting to realizing that Frankie Lyman, A, is that person, and B, that he's black. And there's all these little white girls in the crowd that are like, it's like disgust and oh, he's black. It's crazy.
That's
and I know
wild.
that they played it for that reason when that girl came into the school. It's like it's I wouldn't have known this unless somebody showed me that video a couple years ago. But yeah, Frankie Lyman singing. But yeah, he's it's like a video of him the first time that people see him perform live on TV. It's a strange, but they use Why Do Fools Fall in Love, and it made me think of Frankie Lyman and that scene and all that stuff. And when the girl
Yeah.
comes in after the events of what happened in the movie theater, when she's blamed for something that she clearly didn't do. But yeah, I don't know. Especially the CGI of it. I know that people feel a little weird about it, but I don't know how you can visualize some of this stuff.
You
I don't
know,
know how you can visualize.
the thing is that I think you are either in or out on the way that Andy Muschietti,
Yeah.
how he does CGI.
Muschietti.
Muschietti, like it's across all his movies.
No, I said
mean,
Muschietti. I think it's
it's-
Machete.
it's consistent.
Yeah.
You know, whether it was what was it called? Was it Mama?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was it?
Mama that he made, or the It films, Flash, like this series, like
the baby in the Flash movie and the baby in this, man.
there's I mean the CG is just kind of like it's not great. I mean, like I don't love it either, but I mean, like it doesn't distract me enough from the other stuff that I love. And I think that again, all the things we've hit on so far over the course of just 2 episodes, I feel like the rest like completely overshadow any issue that I have with like the CGI could have been
100%.
better or look just different. It doesn't mean that it needs to do that. It's just it's a bit distracting, but there's just really great performances. There's some fun, there's some very like fun, I would say is the right word, like writing in the script and in some of the dialogue that some of these characters are doing, especially in the first episode with these characters, these kids that we think are the that are the group that we're following.
Yeah.
And not to give away everything, but like the last 10 minutes of the first episode is just like that's how you hook. I think that's how you hook somebody.
Yeah.
Especially like Ronald said, like at the top of this discussion, it's like, in the It films, kids die in those films, and even in the book, but the setup in a episode of a series to make a decision like they do in this first episode, I think is just complete, just bold and ballsy, and I mean just like they're going for that. Okay, well now I have to watch the next one because what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Right.
And you're gonna look for that spike in the episode that comes out today when this episode comes out. That they're releasing early for Halloween. It's just really smart, honestly, man. Like it's so intelligent to do something like that, and because from there you're kind of thrown off your balance a little bit, and you're also then introduced in the second episode to more stuff with Dick and like that whole soldier military stuff. And you get a little bit more with like the families and, the kids that are still in the second episode.
Even the structure of the power structure of the town, the way like the sheriff or the chief of police is being pressured by like the councilman and the other guy. That's like that there's like a conspiracy in town on top of everything else,
Yeah.
Like people suck in Derry.
Pretty much.
Seems to be a
do
theme.
suck. I did like that the second episode started with another angle from what we saw at the last 10
that
minutes.
was awesome.
It's like, oh my God, like what a smart thing to do. Especially if you kind of like what I don't remember exactly how that last episode ended.
Or if you're like, surely they're not gonna do. Surely that's not what it's looked like, and then you see a much more descriptive version of what happened.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm hooked. I'm hooked.
Yeah,
glad that
I'm
glad
definitely hooked for now too.
that- yeah. But all
Yeah, I
right.
mean, and they have a plan, just
Right. We always like
for
that.
for
We
to
love a plan.
say if this works, which there's no question it's going to work.
Yeah.
To have 3 seasons of this show and to be able to go
Wow.
back, the years further back in those increments. What is it? Is it
27.
27 years?
year.
Yeah, 27 years.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man, that's just I'm so excited that there's so much more and like everything we've talked about just now that has worked so well, so scary, different manifestations of it, in these first 2 episodes. We haven't even gotten to Pennywise.
Right.
Maybe a slight tease, like John said, with eyes and things like that. But like the thing you're familiar with, both in structure and in character and villain, it's like there's other scary shit that's happening already in first 2 episodes. And Ronald, you're right. Those 2 scenes, and I would even put honestly, like I don't really think any of them have missed. I think the opening
Yeah.
scene with the kid leaving the theater in the car
Yeah.
Oh my
is
god.
super creepy and uncomfortable and weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the movie theater sequence is fucking scary.
Yeah.
It's
Like
really
it is
scary.
creepy.
Yeah.
Like we had that scene a little bit, like when the kids are watching, the video.
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
in
the
or when they're
first one.
watching the thing. I think was it in part 2.
Yeah. I think or is it the first one or the second one? But
can't
either way,
remember,
where it
actually.
comes out of the screen after.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, like that. It kind of calls that back. It reminds you of that,
Yeah.
but then it just like goes way further. Like it's like it didn't just stop in terms of scaring the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
there are, shit happens, and it's like, and that's that off balance thing that I think it just works so well. Yeah, I loved it. I like immediately was texting a couple friends that like are big horror people, and like, have you watched it yet? Because I actually watched it Sunday. I was late to it, but like I was like, you need to watch it because like it's something's gonna get ruined for you, and you need to watch it so that you can kind of feel it the way I just felt it, because it felt awesome to watch that first episode.
Yeah. Well, so having watched the first one weeks ago and then knowing we were doing this and now that we're kind of catching up, I watched the first one and then watched the second one.
Yeah.
So watching it a second time, all the stuff that we're saying we liked, it's really fun watching it knowing that's what they're doing, because then you can really stop and see all the fake shit they're setting up, for lack of a better way of putting it. Like all the character stuff that seems like stuff you'll be dealing with for episodes on episodes, and they hint at things, and it's like it's really well done. That like they did a great job of creating a credible. So often when people do that, you look back and you go, oh, it was always kind of played like a joke. But that first episode, none of the characters are really played like jokes, and therefore it is bold that they do what they did. And I just hope they remember that boldness on some level throughout. And I feel like the second episode has traces of it, but I think that it's smart to say after the boldness of a first episode like that, you can't do that trick again. You can't just keep doing that same trick.
Right.
But
Right.
I do think they have me a little bit off balance from what I expect and from who might survive or who might be a main character. And I kind of want to keep it that way. I don't want to dig into the lore and find out, oh yeah, one of these characters is a reference to somebody that we know survives or whatever. I mean, there's certain characters that I know must survive, but other than that, most of the main characters are not people that I can say that about. I have no association with them. Even Stanley's uncle, who we meet, is not like a character who we can say, oh, that's a connection that means he's going to be around for a long time. So I think that's a cool thing. And I just want to add this too. We did talk about the CGI, sort of the over CGIification maybe of Andy Muschietti's style. I still think some of the stuff works like really well, and I think particularly like the
100%.
creatures look great. Like the weird baby thing at the beginning, the baby monster in the theater, those look great. The reassembled pickle man is
I've never seen anything like that.
So creepy and because at first he's almost like a Cthulhu creature who's like tentacles and stuff, but it's like his innards and his body's coming together. Like that stuff looked unreal in a way, but unreal in a way that felt like hyper real. Like this is the sort of stuff you would dream about, and it had so much. Like in that case, it's kind of part and parcel of what you're saying, Ronald, about how well designed that supermarket sequence was. This is all happening under like bright, garish fluorescent light. Nothing is hidden, and the sliminess, you could almost smell the stench of that thing just looking at it. And I think that like that was a really creepy monster. The return of her dad in that
That's some movie magic.
Yeah.
And the hand holding it all up.
Yeah.
In the back, that looked even crazier.
Yeah.
The design of all that was just so cool, and the sliminess you could hear, as it was like assembling. It was like a,
and then when it moves towards her, and it's kind of like Pennywise constantly has this kind of weird like shimmying movement or like awkward movement, and it's like it just makes stuff so much scarier when it doesn't seem like it's too smooth. It doesn't seem like it's too predictable.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that scene's amazing. Yeah, honestly, like the one in the bedroom with the mother.
That was scary as hell, man.
That was very scary. Like I was like uncomfortable watching it.
Well,
for
when
many
she's just
reasons.
in the bed, like trying to, and she's suddenly is like in a heart.
But then it just escalates. Like when it gets off the bed and like fucking starts walking towards her.
Yeah,
like that. I was like, oh damn! Like this is like it, and that's that's like the gem of those kinds of things. It's like, it just keeps escalating, and the kid. That performance in that scene is incredible.
Yeah.
Because how scared that kid is escalates exponentially. Like you can tell, like you would be more and more scared as that kept going on than you were when it started, and you were just like a little scared. Like, what's happening?
You know what it is, Steve? It's one of the best moments in movies, period. It's in The Thing when the guy's head pops off and hits the ground, and he sprouts legs and he starts moving around, and Kurt Russell says, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
I was just thinking about this the other day, that one of my favorite things for a horror movie director to do is like, okay, this character is going to have a horrible death, but it always gives the character a certain amount of dignity if before they die, they get at least one moment of like, what the fuck? Like, of just like, what is happening? But you're right, Steve. The escalation in those scenes, it totally turns those kids, and like it's like you're tired from screaming, and you think maybe you're gonna get a breath, but like no, not only is it not over, now it's like coming towards you. You know,
it's worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she like scoots away, and you're like, okay, she got it. She broke off of it. Like it's got her hooked to it. Like with the umbilical cord, and that breaks, and she gets even further away. And like, it can get up.
Yeah,
and it's fucking got a mouth that's opening out. You know? Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, because she's like still for a second, and she's like, "You've made a mess."
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude.
God. And the fact that who that person is for her, it's just like a crazy.
Yeah, dude.
This thing really plays off of everyone's fears in a way that just. I don't know. I don't feel very scared when I see a lot of stuff. For some reason, this is like poking at something that it's like kid fears that I have. Like this, like the realization of all these like arbitrary things. You like this that'll never happen, but I'm scared of this thing.
Well, you feel unsafe. Yeah.
Exactly what it is.
Was like. You guys can maybe remind me, because I was questioning this a little bit. Like, John, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but like the way it feels like some of these things are like nightmares or dreams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or like outside
Visions.
of like it's not really happening in real life.
Yeah.
Was that as apparent in like it chapter 1, 2, the book? Like did that feel that way?
That's a good question. Because
I think that it was in some senses, because I think the way that manifested was more the sense that it would be that kind of Freddy Krueger-y type thing of you would know this character was afraid of something, or you would know something was what they were already thinking about, and then that would be the monster that would chase them. And they did that in the movies already of like, you know, Pennywise is like taking the shape of something that freaks you out or whatever.
Right.
So I think that in and of itself kind of gives it that sort of like hallucination feel of like this is something that couldn't possibly happen in the natural world. And then there's that indication that other people aren't seeing what the character's seeing. I think that's been there.
The hallucination part is like the key, I think, to what you just said, because like I'm trying to like kind of parse that. Because like when she kind of comes to and dad opens the door and she's just there against the door.
Yeah.
It's like all that happened like in her head. but like could have killed her.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Which is very Freddy Krueger. You know, like the rules blur a little bit. Like, but it does seem like would she seem like she had died of fright, or would she seem like she had been chomped by something? You know,
right?
And they do want us to believe those. You know, well, there's other characters that have already perished that it seems to have been just as messy in real life as the hallucination would indicate.
Yeah.
So like, there's no reason to. I think the rules are fuzzy. I would say, Steve, the question you're kind of poking at is something they haven't really defined, which is like, how much is it something that's really happened? Is it just that if you don't die, then it's not? It's like it didn't happen, or is it like, could that have messed up the room she was in and left a mess? And yet, you know what I mean? Like, how much of that could have been happening if they were to bend the rules of their own, like the way they handled these sequences? But thus far, it seems like, well, a good example is Lily in the grocery store. At the end of that scene, she's smashed like maybe a couple jars of pickles.
Right.
So she was doing what she seemed to be doing, but she didn't like, it wasn't the destruction that it seemed to be, you know.
Yeah. I was thinking about what the sergeant was saying to him about defining what was happening in the town. Like, it was like a fear thing that he was defining it almost the way that you were defining it.
Yeah.
And then he was kind of like, I don't know all the rules, but which is kind of how we feel about it right now, because we don't know all the rules. It's cool what they did. Like, I feel like there's some world building in a cool way. But I'm curious to know what they know so far.
Right. Well, also the fact that his whatever injury that's made him not feel fear, that's a cool development to say that's why they want him, is because
what a crazy. I'm so pissed I didn't watch those 5 episodes.
I know.
We had them.
I could not believe that when you said that, because I didn't see that. And when you said that, I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" Because I had just
I remember when it said that.
What?
I remember when it said that, thinking, "Oh, I better watch all these before that date," and then I completely flaked on the date.
Even catch on to that. I did not even see that, realize that, nothing. Because I had just plowed through those 2 like really late Sunday. Like, I'm talking early AM. And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to watch more of these tomorrow night. And then you guys said that, and I was like, no.
Well, I noticed, if anyone's listening and wondering what the hell we're talking about, we were once given the first 5 episodes to watch, and we didn't. I watched the first one, and then I was waiting for more people to watch it so I could talk to them about it.
Okay,
but now we're 1 episode ahead, it seems, when they send us one. So at least maybe every week we can now come in and let folks know, like, oh, it's going to be good this week or whatever. But this is the only week where the episode's actually coming out the day that our show comes out, because normally it would be a Sunday show, I think, which means it would be off by a little bit. So, but I wish I'd watched all 5 of them now too, just because now I'm well. I was hooked after 1, and I thought I would get back to it, but like I couldn't. You know, there were just, you know how you think you're going to binge a show and you just never get around to it. That happens to me a little too often these days.
Yeah, never again. I'm telling you, when we get these things, I'm watching the shit out of it.
Yeah, like, I mean, I just...
you hear that, HBO Max? We're sorry. We won't do it again.
Do you hear me? I'm not afraid anymore.
I do see the calculated risk of them doing that, though.
Yes.
Of them saying, like, this is something, if enough people see this, the hype will kind of... This is a very hypeable show at this point.
It's very true.
They knew that shit was hot fire. They put it in our lap, say, hey, here, you go watch it. Snatched it right from us.
We said, no, we'll get to that hot fire later. We'll
acting too cool for school, man. Missed out.
Well,
what else? Anything else you guys watched? I don't have anything else. Well, actually, I take that back. Real quick, I just want to mention Nobody Wants This season 2, Netflix.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Love it. Love season 1.
Me
love
too.
season 2. Love this show. It's hilarious. Great cast. Sorry. Yeah.
Think
just
about
like
caskets and people dying in that Derry.
The chemistry.
I thought it was like maybe a bourbon that we were endorsing. Great cast.
Yeah, no, I was like, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, great cast. Just topically, tons of awesome stuff. Just relationship stuff is all over the show. And yeah, the chemistry is off the charts.
Cool,
And
cool.
yeah, I love this show. I'm so happy it's back. We watched like 5 episodes so far. Hope to finish it this week. But yeah, that's back on Netflix, so definitely recommending that. Anything else you guys checked out?
Well,
No.
I'll just say I'm loving The Chair Company on HBO Max, the Tim Robinson show. It's very much like, at this point, I just love the kind of thing that it is. I love that it is a Tim Robinson experience, but it's got like a real sort of what the hell's happening kind of conspiracy storyline going too. It's so funny. And it's full of, we were talking earlier about kind of amateur actors. It's full of amateur actors or actors you've never seen before playing bit parts. I mean, there's a few people like Lake Bell and Lou Diamond Phillips that are in it that you know, but pretty much,
Nice.
and then Jim Downey is actually in it, the SNL writer who was in One Battle After Another recently. So he's having kind of a moment, oddly. But some outside of those people, just it's just that kind of Tim Robinson comedy. I would think that if you were someone like Ronald, who loves Tim Robinson but didn't fall in love with Friendship, this show is a little bit more like, this feels a little bit more like a Tim Robinson project and less like he's in a project where someone's using his persona, so I would think that you might enjoy this a little bit more than you did Friendship, Ronald. But if you're out there and you're like me and you just think Tim Robinson when he's on is just so funny, this show gives you lots of great little Tim Robinson kind of freak out moments. But the story that it's part of, it's like, it's one of those things where he's a little bit more competent than his character would normally be. And they make up for that by putting him in a situation that is truly bizarre. Like, he does a few things wrong and a few things right, and he does kind of trip up on his own idiocy. But there's also a point of, you go, well, if I was the same guy in this situation, even if I did everything right, there's still a moment after which he's in a fucked up situation. So I don't know how much it's going to be like a real conspiracy, or if it's going to really get real, or if it's going to always be kind of surreal and kind of, is anything really going on? But where it is now, there's definitely some weird shady shit happening. And so I'll be very curious to see where Tim Robinson and his team want to take a project like this, where it's like, we're going to use that style of comedy, but we're going to do a show that, could conceivably, it's not quite Severance, but it's got like elements of that type of show where you really do wonder what's going on, like what's really behind the story that's happening here. So that's great. I also saw, I don't know if anyone else even knows that there was a remake of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle that came out on Hulu. I haven't seen a whole lot about it. It's an interesting one. Have either of you guys watched that?
I have not
yet.
It might be more interesting to talk about it if you watch it, just because it is, I don't think it's as fun in the kind of pulpy way as the original, but it does do an interesting enough update of it, in the sense that it's dealing with a slightly new version of the kind of toxic nanny character, and like why she's victimizing this woman and her family. And also a little bit of that judgy people going back and forth about formula versus breast milk, that type of stuff. It's got a little bit of that modern, that stuff we know about, kind of toxic mom stuff. But in some ways, it's like, I wish it had gone more bonkers to be a little bit more like the OG one. But in other ways, I totally get that they're doing us, not like an elevated version. They're just doing a slightly modern version of it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's as memorable of a movie as the original was. But it does have a couple people that are really good in it, and Martin Starr's in it, and you just know he's shown up to not come out too well in a movie like this. But it's that kind of movie. Somebody has to get unalived, as they say on TikTok. So I don't know. I think if it's sitting right there on Hulu. So I would say if you want that kind of movie, that kind of like, it's like a Hallmark version of a horror movie almost, is what it feels like. But it was fun to watch. And can't remember if I said I'd see. Oh, there's a doc right now on Netflix called The Perfect Neighbor, which is extremely infuriating and extremely sad. And it's totally gonna get you mad if you watch it. But what is interesting about it is that it's totally assembled from like body cam footage and Ring cameras and people's phones, and I don't know if there's even a single like interview style interview in it. I think it's all taken from footage, that found
that's what
footage
it
in that
is.
sense. So it's kind of impressive that they got so much stuff. Like there's I mean, it's all the stuff you know from true crime stuff, but it's like, oh, someone's going to take the interrogation footage and they're going to take the 911 call and they're going to take the body cam footage and they're going to take the ring camera footage, and you actually knit together a pretty complete narrative of this. Like watching a train wreck happen in slow motion sort of feeling that you have with this story, but it's totally the busybody Karen. They even call her a Karen in the film.
Wow.
But it's like it's that type of person who is. Her name's Susan, but she is a Karen. And it's like, it's just that whole thing. And I say that with all due respect. There's a woman I know named Karen who's one of the nicest ladies I've ever known. And she's commented on how much it bothers her that name is, has been sullied like that. But just that idea, we all culturally understand who that person is. And this movie really makes you think about that person who just has to call the cops on the kids that are making noise or has to bother their neighbors and has to be that person, and how easy it would be not to be that person. You know what I mean? I think is what you come out thinking. But also just it's a tragic story. I'm sure people either want to watch this kind of thing or don't. I barely did. I knew it would make me mad, but I also knew that I was curious about how they did the like I said, the way that it's assembled. And I do think it's impressive in that sense. It is a little bit brutal though. Like when it kind of keeps going and you finally get to the end and you realize why it went as far as it did. But there's a point where the story has kind of been told and you're still, dealing with like family members finding out that someone they love has been killed. Like there's so much stuff that really, that if you don't watch this kind of thing because of how depressing it can be, this one is that film. But it also kind of leans into it, and in a way that a lot of times with true crime, you don't spend as much time maybe paying homage to the tragedy of what happens to a person. So I think that it's a difficult watch, but maybe an important movie. I don't know. It's tough to know who needs to watch this film that will watch it is the question. And I was in the middle of it thinking that, like, it seems like most people that watch this movie will probably already have imbibed the lesson that this movie might teach you, but I don't know. It's definitely well done.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. We tried to start it the other day, and Aaron was not having it.
Yeah.
Too, I don't know, overwhelming.
Yeah.
Just overstimulated. Motion sickness, she was saying, from like the body cam footage and things like that.
Oh, it's definitely that.
It wasn't happening.
Yeah.
But I do plan to watch it, so I'm glad that you were able to check it out. All right, cool. Well, that's it. I'm excited to check out more Welcome to Derry whenever we get that or when it comes out next week. But again, my required viewing pick for next week is Code 3. Again, it's on VOD for rent or purchase if you want to check it out. For that episode, movieschmovie.com is the website. You can go there to subscribe to the podcast, listen to the podcast. Jump into any podcast platform that you prefer to use. And if you do subscribe, leave us a review, a rating, anything like that would be helpful. If you prefer YouTube, you can go to youtube.com/movieschmoviepodcast and you can watch, listen, subscribe, anything there. I mean, it's really a great option. We also have the shorts on there. If you don't want to kind of stick around for the full episode, you can at least kind of browse through there, and something strikes your fancy, just watch a shorter clip, and it all helps us out. And if you do subscribe, again, hit the bell so you get notified when new episodes come out. Other than that, thank you so much for listening. And as always, you've made our day. Thanks.
Bye.